everybody. Yes, we are back. It is time for the OU Weekly Matchup Show, or in this case, we're going to call it the OU Bowl Matchup Show. As for the 43rd time in school history, the Oklahoma Sooners are in a bowl game, and they're going to try to get rid of their recent bowl woes by winning a bowl game, something that they haven't done since 2005 when they beat Oregon in the Holiday Bowl. No, it's not a BCS Bowl that Oklahoma's playing in, and no, it's not for the national championship, which we've been used to lately as Sooner fans, but it still is a bowl game. In fact, it is the Sun Bowl, which will be played New Year's Eve, kickoff at 1 o'clock our time on CBS, as Oklahoma will take on the Stanford Cardinal. Now, to tell you a little bit about Stanford, this was not supposed to be a terrific season for Stanford. They haven't had terrific seasons lately in football. In fact, their last bowl appearance prior to this year, you have to go all the way back to 2001 and the Seattle Bowl when they lost to Georgia Tech. It's been 8 years since the Cardinal have been bowling. But Oklahoma and Stanford will be on the collision course for the Sun Bowl, which, by the way, has been ruled a sellout. First time ever that they have sold the game out days before the game. So it is one of the more highly anticipated bowl matchups, despite the fact that it is not a BCS game, not even close to a BCS game, but still highly anticipated because of Toby Gerhardt, the Stanford running back who almost won the Heisman Trophy. We'll talk more about him in a second. And also the big name Oklahoma program and Bob Stoops, the head coach. So it is an intriguing matchup nationwide when the two schools will play on New Year's Eve in El Paso. Now, talk about Stanford a little bit and the season that they've had. Again, this was not supposed to be a good year for the Cardinal. They were picked to finish in the bottom half of the Pac-10 standings in the number 6 position, but they've actually overachieved. Besides the outstanding play of Toby Gerhardt, which, by the way, was only 27 points away from winning the Heisman Trophy, was edged out by Mark Ingram of Alabama. The Cardinal have been prolific on offense, not just running, but also passing. They are one of the top teams in the country in scoring, averaging over 36 points a game, so no question Oklahoma's going to have their hands full. But again, it's a year that Stanford has overachieved because of the victories over the eventual Pac-10 champions in Oregon, and also putting a huge beatdown in Los Angeles at the Coliseum against USC. And of course, beating Notre Dame. And I know Notre Dame, this isn't one of their better teams, but still a win over Notre Dame, and Stanford has not had too many of those in recent years. I think the big reason why Stanford has turned things around has been because of the outstanding job that Jim Harbaugh has done as head coach. One of the up-and-coming coaches in college football. He's just in his 3rd year at Stanford, and he's already done wonders for that program in Palo Alto. Now, looking at the Oklahoma perspective and how I'm feeling that they are going to do in this bowl game against Stanford, I sure wish that Oklahoma could have played this game against Stanford the week after the Oklahoma State game. It really would have benefited them. And I say that because the game against Oklahoma State, which was the last one Oklahoma played, that was just 2 days after Thanksgiving, probably their best game of the year. Definitely on defense it was. And they shut down a high-scoring offense like Oklahoma State, literally shut them down. 0 points in that 27-0 victory in the last Saturday of November. When you have momentum like Oklahoma had after that game, the one thing you want to do is keep playing. The last thing you want is a 33-day layoff, which is what Oklahoma will have when they play Stanford on December 31st. 33 days since they would have played a game. I think the one thing that kills momentum are long delays. A long layoff, which in this case for Oklahoma will be a near 5-week layoff. So again, I wish Oklahoma could have played Stanford the week after the Oklahoma State game because of all that momentum that they generated, and hopefully Oklahoma would not have lost a lot of that momentum because, again, it was a great game that Oklahoma played against an Oklahoma State team that simply had more to play for. They were going for a BCS bid. Oklahoma wasn't, but it was Oklahoma that acted like they had more to play for because they simply kicked Oklahoma State all up and down Owen Field. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the Sun Bowl, it is a sellout. Over 50,000 fans will be in El Paso for this game. One of the more highly anticipated Sun Bowl matchups in a long time. But in spite of that, the big question I have for Oklahoma, and there's no getting around this, will the Sooners care? Okay, will the Sooners care about this game? Remember, they're not playing for a national championship. They're not playing in a BCS Bowl. Heck, the Sooners aren't even playing in the Cotton Bowl, and they're not even playing in the Holiday Bowl or the Alamo Bowl. No, the Sun Bowl pays even less money than those other non-BCS games I just mentioned. So will Oklahoma care? The answer to that question, I believe, is yes, because I believe the Oklahoma coaching staff has to point to just one recent history reference, and that is Oklahoma's lack of success in recent bowl games, and that's putting it pretty nicely. Last year, losing to Florida. The year before, getting trounced by West Virginia. Of course, the heartbreak 3 years ago, losing to Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. And then 2 years prior to that, getting trounced by USC. And then the year before that, losing to LSU. That's right. If it weren't for a Clint Ingram late interception against Oregon in the Holiday Bowl, the Sooners would be staring at 6 straight bowl losses instead of 5 of the last 6. To put it pretty rudely, Oklahoma has stunk up the joint in bowl games, okay? BCS bowl games, yeah, sure. But they've been bowl losses, nonetheless, leaving a very sour taste in the coaches, players, and fans' mouths from Oklahoma at the end of every season. I think that's motivation enough for Oklahoma to go to El Paso and to get a W, to try to somewhat alleviate that recent pain of losing in the postseason and by countering it with a victory. We'll see if Oklahoma can do that against Stanford. Oklahoma is the better team, but the better team doesn't always win bowl games. We've seen that both far past and recent past. Let's go ahead and highlight the 4 keys to this game. Key number 1, and if this key does not hold true for Oklahoma, they're going to lose this game. I don't care what keys 2 through 4 are. I think you know what I'm about to say. Contain Gerhardt or be torn apart. He is college football's leading rusher, barely lost the Heisman Trophy, leads all running backs, by the way, in rushing touchdowns as well, and he had 10 100-yard rushing games this year for the Cardinal and 3 200-yard rushing games. So, can he play? Duh. What can Oklahoma do? Remember, this is going to be strength against strength. Stanford's outstanding rushing attack against the 7th-ranked rushing defense in the nation. For Oklahoma, it just comes down to playing tenacious, fundamental football. Not just getting mean, not just beating the guy up front, but also fundamental tackling. Not hitting Gerhardt upper body. If you do that, you're going to bounce off him like a slinky, and he's still going to be running. He's not quick. He's not a speedster, but he can move for a big guy, and of course, he is tough as nails. Gerhardt gets stronger as the game goes. So if Oklahoma can hold the Stanford All-American running back to, I would say, about 80 yards or less rushing the ball, that's a very good sign. If he rushes for 120, then the chances of victory start to dwindle a little bit. And if he's rushing for 160 yards or more, which is what he's used to, then watch out. It could be a troublesome game for the OU defense. Now, key number 2, line them up. We're talking about Oklahoma's defensive line getting to the quarterback. Bad luck for Stanford is Andrew Luck, their outstanding freshman quarterback, may not play in this game. He has been ruled as doubtful. He's had a terrific season for the Cardinal in his freshman year, but just recently had surgery on a finger on his right throwing hand. So, probably won't play in this game. If he doesn't, Tavita Pritchard's going to get the call for Stanford. Pritchard has only thrown 3 passes this season for the Cardinal. Played quite a bit his previous 2 years, but has only collected 4 snaps this year, and again has thrown only 3 passes for a grand total of 1 yard. So, Oklahoma, the defensive line, are you hearing me? Gerald McCoy playing your final game. He's going to the NFL next year, by the way. And the defensive ends, Bill and Alexander, they must get to the quarterback. It won't be easy, though, because Stanford averages giving up just half a sack per ball game. But again, they haven't seen a defensive line like this. Golden opportunity, I think, for Oklahoma in this matchup. Key number 3, remember Oklahoma, you're playing a Pac-10 team. This means that if Oklahoma gets off to a good start, if they lead the game 21-7, do not be surprised if Stanford tries to mount a comeback. Don't be surprised if they do mount a comeback, because Pac-10 teams being down by 14 or 17 points doesn't faze them. So, don't think you can go to the shopping mall or go to the restaurant after Oklahoma is leading by 14 or 17 points, because the Pac-10, while they give up a lot of points, they score a lot of points too. So being down 2 touchdowns isn't going to faze a team like Stanford. This game ain't over until zeros read on the 4th quarter clock. And then number 4, Landry leaves Stanford out to dry. We bragged about Stanford's offense. Their defense is not very good, especially pass defensive-wise. Jones needs a big game. If Oklahoma loses and if Jones plays like crap, in my opinion, that starting quarterback position is up in the air next year for Oklahoma. You heard it right here. So overall, Stanford, look, it's been a terrific year for the Cardinal. They've overachieved, and I think the best is yet to come for the Cardinal. They're very competitive in the Pac-10. However, against the Big 12, I like Oklahoma's chances. They've got the bowl experience, and I think that they're going to have plenty of hunger trying to finally win a bowl game for the first time since '05. I like Oklahoma to win this game 38-27 and end the season on a high note. I think Oklahoma will have too much offense in this game. I think Gerhardt might bend Oklahoma's defense a bit, but I don't think Oklahoma's defense is going to break in the end. Again, a high-scoring Sun Bowl, but Oklahoma to prevail. We'll have our post-game show of Oklahoma-Stanford coming up on January 1st, the day after the Stanford game. That'll be our final show for this season. 38-27, I like OU to win. Thanks for watching. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.